When healing begins, purpose awakens. This is a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose. It is a pleasure to be here with you guys another Thursday. And I'm excited, y'all, because I told y'all this season we're going to be having real, raw conversations with amazing women from around the world who have very impactful stories, who are doing amazing things in their life and really touching lives and changing lives through their stories. And so tonight, I have the honor and pleasure of introducing to you guys an amazing woman that I've had the privilege of connecting and getting to know over the last few months. But before I do that, I want to welcome all of you guys. For those of you that are new, that are just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome back to A Major Insight, or welcome to A Major Insight into Faith, Healing, and Purpose. My name is Ashley Major, and I am a faith-based holistic life and wellness coach. And I help women that are navigating healing, who are ready to go to the next level, but are unsure, where to go, how to do it, what to do. I help them go from healing to becoming so that they can walk in their authentic, God-given purpose, so that they can own their identity and truly create impact, influence, and build legacy and truth. And so, y'all, I'm excited to just be a light, a guiding light for women that are seeking Christ, but also seeking purpose and just wanting to just leave an influence and legacy. And so we're excited to be here, and we talk all things faith, healing, and purpose on this podcast. And so if that sounds like something you're interested, you're in the right place. Okay, so definitely hit that like, follow, subscribe button, and share this episode with a friend, because tonight, y'all, we are going to be talking about the keys to overcoming fear with the amazing Rosie Lastra. Okay, and specifically 3 keys. But before I jump into that, I want to just introduce you to Rosie and just share a little of her story with you guys. So Rosie and we actually met through our mentorship program that we're both a part of. And she's such a dynamic woman. Her story is so amazing. It is touching. It is emotional, but it's also impactful. And I mean, it's such a great story to hear, especially from someone that has experienced life. She has a lot of life experience. And so I'm excited to just introduce you guys to Rosie, who is her name is actually Maria, but she goes by Rosie. Okay. And Rosie is a transformational healing and confidence coach. She's a certified Reiki healer, and she is the founder and CEO of Jeremy's Unity Flight LLC, right? So after a divine calling in 2015, it was revealed to her that her son Jeremy would be the catalyst for her mission. Okay, so Rosie transitioned from corporate controller to a global healing advocate. And y'all is excited. We're going to dive into that, because her mission, her mandate, everything about what she's doing is something the world needs. Okay. And so when her son Jeremy passed away from a rare cancer on September 15th, 2024, at the divine hour, Rosie transformed her grief into purpose. Okay, though this wasn't her first success in integrating Eastern practices with Western medicine, she helped extend Jeremy's life by combining hospital care with holistic approaches. Today, Rosie empowers men and women to reclaim their health, resilience, and confidence through faith and research-backed methods. Her work honors Jeremy's legacy and proves that pain does not get the final word, purpose does. So y'all just help me introduce and welcome Rosie to the stage. Rosie, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi, beautiful. I feel humbled and blessed to be here, baby. I love you. You're incredible. The lives you're impacting is amazing. God bless you for your heart. God bless you for your soul. God bless you for just being who you are. I just adore you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for, and I'm humbled to be here, babe.
Thank you
So
so much
thank
for
you.
that, Rosie. Y'all, let me tell you, I'm around some amazing men and women from all over the world, and Rosie is definitely one of them. I see Rosie. We got Roxy in the house. We have Dawn, Coach Dawn in the house, and we also have Hope in the house. Welcome, welcome, ladies. If you are viewing by way of Instagram, welcome, welcome. We also have we have Charlene in the house. Welcome, Charlene. Welcome. All right. We also have Jody. Welcome, y'all. Man, we have a lot of people on tonight. All right, Rosie, you bringing the people tonight, girl.
It's
All
cool.
right.
It's a blessing.
It is a blessing. So let's dive into this. Okay. Our topic tonight is on overcoming fear. And so, y'all, Rosie also has a podcast. And last week, she touched on fear. She shared a story about her journey to overcoming fear. And y'all know I'm a science geek. I love science. I have a bachelor's in biology. And Rosie, she merges and combines faith with science, and just being able to show how these two things intertwine, right? And so when she started sharing her story of her journey of overcoming fear, and she touched on the neuroscience behind it, I'm like, what? I gotta get Ruby on the podcast. And so she is here tonight, y'all. And so Rosie, tell us about your journey. So I know we touched on a little of it in your bio, but tell us about your journey from grief, overcoming fear, and to where you are today.
Ooh, grief is a tough one. It's been a little over a year that my son passed. So it's really, really fresh. And bear with me, I do still get extremely emotional. He was my baby. And although I am blessed beyond measures to have been his mama, I'm blessed beyond measures to have had him in my life as long as I did. And every minute and every day was a blessing. I still miss the heck out of him. So it still hurts. I did go through a period of 8 months that all I did was watch. Actually, it's kind of funny because I went through a decade of not watching TV. I went through a decade of self development. I went through a decade of going into neuroscience and quantum physics and all my mentors and working on becoming the best version of me because of the calling that God had put in my heart. Okay, and when God told me that my son was going to be a catalyst, I really, really, my heart of hearts, believed when he got diagnosed with cancer that we were going to beat it because God had already been preparing me, I felt, because I had already gone through several situations with cancer. My stepmom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer right at the height of the pandemic. And instantly I like God does everything. It's like all of a sudden all these people come into my life that start talking to me about alkaline diets and holistic healing and even magnotherapy. I mean magnetic therapy. And I just dove into it from my heart and I saw the success I had with her. I mean, her oncologist, what was wild is that her oncologist, when I asked them about the alkaline diet, because I think it's not right for us to hide things from doctors. I don't think it helps our healing when we hide things from doctors. So I'm very upfront, very straightforward. I I want to unite. Okay, so I asked him. I said, Doc, have you heard the alkaline diet? Because at the time I was thinking about doing it with her, and I had met a scientist that did studied water for over 50 years. And he promised me, he told me, he says, Rosie, he says, if you could get her body to 7.5 and above, I know in my heart of hearts that you'll beat it. He's like, I got over 20 years of studies with and I know that 90 days at 7.5 and above alkalinity, no cancer lives. All cancer dies. You're starving the cancer. So he told me at that time, he says, if you could get her body 7.5 and maintain it there, then for 90 days, you'll beat it. He says, now here's the catch. If you go below 7.5 at any point, you got to start the 90 days from that day. So I'm like, okay, cool, we got this. So we jumped on it. I cleaned there for my stuff around my dad's apartment, and my dad, her, and me, and I moved in with him. And my dad, her, and me decided to all three do the diet. And we all got on it. We all did it. And her oncologist at the time, when I asked him how long would she live, or he felt she could live, his response was, you don't want to know, just enjoy every minute. And when I asked him about the alkaline diet, his response was, oh, hallelujah and amen. And I looked at him, I said, hallelujah and amen. Why you say hallelujah and amen? He's like, because I can't recommend it because it hasn't been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. He says, but I've got clients that have had amazing results. So when anybody mentions it, I say hallelujah and amen. Go for it. So I said, okay, fine. So we went home, we got everything ready, we did it. And 8 months later, we're walking in the hospital and we run into the same oncologist. And he sees us and he pulls me over. He says, is that your stepmom, the one that I diagnosed? I'm like, yeah. He's like, wow. He says, you're doing the diet with her, aren't you? I'm like, yeah. He says, well, remember when you asked me about term of life? I'm like, yeah. He says, I wouldn't have given her no more 2 months. He says, any day she lived beyond that is because of what you're doing. She lived a year and 2 months after the diagnosis. So, and I never got her body to 7.5 because she never drank enough water. She wouldn't eat enough. So, you can't force what you can't force. You got to, one of the things that I'm about too is quality of life. I'm not going to force nothing on nobody. I found out through my walk that you can't want for somebody more than they want. So I meet them where they're at. I work with them where they're at, and I go with what's in their heart. Because no matter what, it's their life, okay, and that's the way it's supposed to go. So therefore, I did work with her, and like I said, I extended her life. So when my son got diagnosed, the company I had been working with for 5-6 years merged with another company. And when Lena passed, it was shortly before that. And in my heart, I kept praying. I'm like, God, the diet that I did with Lena, I'd have to move in with somebody and spend 3 months with them to teach them it. How do I get to the PDF and in a way that is teachable without me being hands-on? And you ask, and God delivers, baby. Because lo and behold, all of a sudden, we join Secret. I look at the nutritional product, and everything on it, even their diet for the product, is my alkaline diet in PDF form. I'm like, wow, simplified. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, my goodness. I'm like, oh, I got to get this. So I jumped on board. I bought the whole product for myself. At the time, they were taking like weeks to deliver because it was a bunch of us getting on board. And I'm like, and I ordered it. 5 days later, my son calls me up and tells me, Mom, they told me I got liver cancer. 5 days. Without saying a word, without nothing, I just went ahead and ordered him the whole product. I went ahead and ordered the whole thing. And I made a decision that same day that I was going to go ahead and, because at the time I had a cleaning service. And at the time we were doing 200 cleans a week. So it wasn't like I could leave. I was hands-on. I would do 6 to 10 cleans a day myself. So it was, and I managed the whole shebang. And I went ahead and put out a Craigslist. I'm like, okay, God, you and me, we're going to figure this out. I'm going to find a manager. I'm going to find somebody who's going to take over. I'm going to go with Jeremy for however long he needs me, at least 2 to 3 months. We're going to do this. And I remember telling my mentor, Lewis, because I had made a decision, I was leaving that following Friday. And this was without hiring nobody yet. Okay. Hadn't talked to nobody, nothing. And I had made the decision I was leaving that following Friday because he had an appointment with his oncologist that Monday. So Lewis tells me, Rosie, the product is not going to come in before you leave. I'm like, look, I believe in God's timing. I know his timing is perfect. I'm not worried about it. I'll start the diet. And when the product comes in, I'll introduce it then. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm doing, God's telling me this is what I got to do. Ashley, that Friday, as I was getting ready to head out the door, a shipment arrives, and it's my son's product, not even mine. I had ordered my 5 days prior. It was all of his. I took pictures. I said to Luz, I'm like, yo, remember I said, God's timing, check it out. And maybe he's on. I'm like, let's go. So I grabbed it. I went. And when I went with my son to his oncologist, when I asked him about the alkaline diet, he said, it hasn't been proven. I can't endorse it. Now, most people are going to say, okay, I guess I can't do it, or are going to do it behind their backs. I'm not that person. So I responded to him, Doc, I appreciate you. I honor you. I said, but I know this works. I've got proven case that it works. And I'm doing this with my son. I want you to know, because I don't want it to conflict with what you're doing. Okay. His response to me was, it's healthier, so go right ahead. And I did. Okay. So we went home. And he was in agreement. The whole family was in agreement because they had already seen what had happened with Lena. So we went home. I went ahead and took him shopping. We did everything. I showed him all the products. I showed him how everything works. We went ahead and started. I ordered the water. We did everything. 90 days later, that same oncologist asked my son after he does the scan. He said, that was my son. He says, are you doing that alkaline diet with your mom? And he says, yeah. He says, well, continue with it, because what I'm giving you stops the growth. It doesn't reduce anything. And your tumors have significantly shrunk.
Wow.
Okay. So I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, Jeremy. And that was what was wild, was that he had, and I was so proud of him. He had only made a mistake 3 times during the 90 days. Okay. Wow. And one time was actually on my birthday that he actually had to drink it. And then he, Mom, am I able to do this? I'm like, no, baby, you're not. He's like, oh, I'm like, too late, go for it. So you start all over. So in saying this, there is no doubt in my mind and my heart to heart. And then I had one other incident towards the later part of his journey, where I received a call. I was actually at my cousin's because my uncle had just been put on hospice. And I received a call telling me that Jim was in the hospital, his liver and kidneys were failing. And I tell my uncle, I said, Tio, I said, I got to go with Jeremy. I said, please wait for me, Tio. And his response to me was, Rosie, I'm not going to be here. But just know, now my dad passed away 2022. Okay. So my uncle tells me, he says, yes, no, I talked to your father and he told me that Jeremy's going to be okay. Okay. He told me he's got your son and he's making sure that he's going to be okay.
Wow.
And I used to, one of those things where you feel like, where it came from, you feel the divine, you feel God's presence right there and then. That's what I felt. And I knew my father was with me. I knew my father was holding me at that precise moment. And I took off. I went to the hospital. And when I get there, they had already tried. They had already done one series of dialysis, and they were getting ready to do the second one. And when they get ready to do the second one, I'm there. They tell me it doesn't seem to be working. They don't know what's going on. Okay. And we spent 2 days where they kept doing dialysis treatments, like they started 4 hours, then 6 hours, then a whole day. They just kept doing it. And like the 3rd day, they started talking about hospice. They started saying that nothing was working, that they didn't know what else they could do. And I'm like, okay, time to bring it on. I'm like, do you happen to have holistic healers here? And they're like, yes. I'm like, bring them. So the holistic healer there and myself, we started doing Reiki on him. Okay. Now I asked them if they had a Reiki therapist, and they told me, I said that they provided, and thank you, Jesus, they do. I was surprised, but they did. So I had the Reiki therapist come in, and her and me did Reiki on him. I went out and I bought a blue light, and I put a blue light on him because I've heard about blue light therapy. So, and how it helps infections and things like that. So I went and got a blue light. I put a blue light on him. And I kept praying and doing my Reiki on him, and nonstop. I just kept going and going and going. And within less than 24 hours, that they come back saying they don't. It's a miracle. They don't know how, but his livers and kidneys started working again.
Wow.
So I was like, thank you, Jesus. Okay. And because of that moment, Jeremy actually, it extended Jeremy's life another 4, almost 5 months. Okay.
Wow.
4, almost 5 months that boy was with us. 4 or 5 months that he enjoyed the family. 4 or 5 months of love and joy. And Jeremy was like the, I believe that boy went so early because he carried the whole world's problems on his shoulders. I would always tell him, baby, it's not, you got to learn to let go of that. You can't worry about everybody. But he always helped there. He was there for everybody. He was always, no matter if anybody was bad to him or did anything wrong to him, he never had ill will towards nobody. He always, he loved. He just, and it was like so, and such an unconditional love that he is overwhelming. And I used to think that he was a young soul because he was always childlike. He was always making fun of everything and always cracking jokes, and like he would love to rile me up purposely. He would purposely ignite me. Yeah, so I would get upset so he could see my red face. And my older son was, Mom, why do you let him do that to you? You know? And I used to think it was just him being that he was a young soul. And after his passing, oh my God, I realized, and it's crazy because in one of John's scriptures, it talks about staying young at heart. It talks about how if you're young at heart, your spirit is like beyond John the Baptist or something like that. It's like, so I realized, I'm like, he wasn't no young soul. He was a no soul. He had that ability to bring in that childlike personality into that freaking spiritual, amazing spirit. And everybody that he touched was impacted by him. Oh wow, this was something I hadn't said. And after he passed, I didn't know about this, but my sister-in-law told me a story. She explained to me, because my sister-in-law actually guides people through their dying, and she's actually a nanny as well, so she takes care of some kids. And one of the boys she takes care of, he's like 8 or 9 years old, and she says that because my son was in Googlio cards and this boy was in Googlio cards, she connected them. And she says that instantly, Jeremy got with this boy and sent him, I mean, they talked for hours. He sent him a whole bunch of the cards. He would touch base with him every couple of days. I mean, it seems like this boy, I mean, when this boy found out my son had passed, he was like, it really, really hurt him because Jeremy was a constant for him.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, but that was who Jeremy was, so I know he wasn't also. So anyway, but I kind of, it is so dear to my heart, I got carried away.
Listen, that's what you had to share. You had to share that part of your story because Jeremy is a big part of what you do today. He's the reason why you do what you do. And so, people had to hear that. People had to hear about Jeremy and who he was and who he still is, because he's still impacting lives. He's still bringing joy to people's lives, even after through your nonprofit, right? Through what it is that you do with Jeremy's Unity Flight. And so that's amazing. I thank you for just being vulnerable and sharing that, because, grief is something that you don't just get over. That's a process. That's something that you got to go through, and you get to enjoy the journey. You get to sit in the moments when you're feeling it. It's not something that you have to rush through. And so I appreciate you just being vulnerable and sharing that with us, Rosie. Thank you. And so you touched on a few things that really just opened my eyes to just the whole journey of what you went through. So you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner outside of what it is that you do now, right? Running a whole company and having to go through that, and just being a support for people. Like, you have a big heart as well. Moving in with your mother-in-law just to help her on her journey, that's a big deal. So God bless your heart, Rosie. So I want to touch on our topic, which is fear, right? Because you talked about your journey of overcoming fear and how you did that even at your mature age, right? You're at we call it seasoned age, right? You are such a light, you're such an inspiration because it shows that, you can still do things. There's no limitation. Age doesn't limit us. It just comes with a little more wisdom, a little more experience, right? And so I want you to touch.
You got it.
I want I want you to touch on, how you got to the point of, just using everything that you went through to awaken your courage to overcome fear.
Okay. Well, first of all, one thing I didn't finish mentioning is that I did go through eight months of massive grief. So I went from a person who never watched TV to bench watching every single series I had missed in a decade, and even ended up watching Spanish novelas. I mean, because I ran out of shows. So I was just, and thank you, Jesus, because of my decade of self-development. I started giving it action. I started going through my process of healing, and I did give it action. I did journal. I reached out to a coach. I did everything I needed to, and thank you, Jesus, I finally came out of it, and I reframed my thinking from the loss to the purpose, to what was going to come with the calling that God had put in my heart, January 9th of 2015. So, and how Jeremy was going to play a part of it. So it kind of all came full circle. But in doing this and reaching out to my coach, Darren, one of the things he talks about and teaches is podcast. And one of the things that he brought up very quickly in the training was that we had to do a podcast. And he sent us the training on the podcast and how to do it. And he asked us to launch our first podcast within a week or so. Well, Rosie's like, okay, how's this going to happen? Because unknown to him, that was my biggest fear, was to be in front of camera. Even my own family never even really knew about it. I remember as a child, the camera would come out for family videos, and Rosie would go watch dishes or go clean the house or go do something, not to be in the video. And what's funny is when my niece Carolyn found out about it, actually a few years ago, she asked me, she says, what do you mean? We've always had cameras. There's always been cameras all over the place. Your mother, your sister, everybody's been had cameras. I'm like, Carolyn, take a look at the family video. See if you see me in it. You'll hear me, but you won't see me. And she's like, oh, wow. Yeah. She's like, I never knew that. So I never knew why I had that fear. Okay. I just knew I had it. Okay. So because of the fact that I'm a science geek like you, I had already, I kind of had dove into neuroscience and found out that the very first thing you have to do is identify the fear. Okay. And actually, when I first identified the fear, I didn't know the neuroscience part of it, because at the time I was going through trying to get on. So I was like, okay, let me identify. So I researched, and I found like 10 or 20 reasons why you could be fearful to cameras. And I'm looking through the possibilities. I'm like, that's not me, and that's not me, and that's not me, and that's not me. And all of a sudden it's like, there it is. Okay. I'm somewhat of a perfectionist when it comes to certain things. And when I'm on camera, when I'm in front of people, I want to look my best. I want to feel my best. I want to be my best. I want to give people the most professional version of me. And it wasn't there. I know it wasn't there. So I'm like, wait a minute, I got to call Darren. So I called up Darren. I'm like, Darren, I'm like, baby, can you do one-on-one? What would it take for us to do a one-on-one? I'm going to do whatever it takes, but can we do like one-on-one so you can show me the it factor? And he's like, it factor. He's like, girl, what are you talking about? I said, yeah. I said, like some people got it, like you got it. Okay. And like actors and artists, they got that it factor. Some people got that it factor. When they come on camera, they come alive, and they're professional. They look great. And I don't.
Yes, you do.
I'm like, how do I get that it factor? And he's like, girl, get out of here. He's like, I've seen you on Zoom. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, look, Zoom is different. Zoom, I don't have to be the professional. I'm not leading. In Zoom, I'm learning. I can stay quiet. I don't have to say nothing or do nothing. It's different. And he's like, but you interact in Zoom. I said, yeah, but it's different because I'm not the one that has to be professional. It's totally different to me. And he's like, girl, he's like, and we talked for a while. He gave me some suggestions and some ideas, like, think of people, when you were talking on there, think of them in their underwear or, things like that. And actually, it wasn't him that said that. It was a producer. But between them, between two of them that I was talking to, they gave me suggestions and ideas. And I'm a person that when you challenge me, I have to come up to that challenge. So they're kind of challenged me. And I promised them that not only would I do the podcast that Friday, but I would also do a little short video before the podcast. Okay, for a short. So I got off the phone with him and I started. And OMG, the very first day, I even talked to my grandson. I'm like, baby, I just got through deleting 59 videos that I recorded trying to get this right, and none of them were good. He's like, well, Abuela, yes. He's like, Abuela, just put it out there. He's like, I don't know what your problem is, Abuela. You should just put it out there. I'm like, baby, you don't get it, but it's all right. I'll figure this out. No problem. Got this, So I spent the next 4 days doing exactly that. I videotaped and I'd spend like a couple hours videotaping. And nothing I did I liked, so I deleted it all. And then I tried doing it. I know I did over 500 takes that I deleted. And like on the fourth day, I'm like, you know what? I can't continue like this. I didn't like the last video I did, but it was kind of like one of the best ones. So I'm like, I'm done with this. Heck with it. No guts, no glory. Let's go. Boo. And I sent it. And I posted it. And wow, I went from no more than 20 views to, in a matter of less than a day, almost 500 views.
Amazing.
on that one video. It was like,
it wasn't perfect. It wasn't your
by no means. So that helped, and then like I said, because I did dive into neuroscience and find out what the process is to continue with it so I could actually do it. And I found out that neuroscience, it talks about the amygdala and how the amygdala is our protector. The amygdala is what says, oh, no, you don't want to do that because last time this happened. I found out that I didn't know this either, that our bodies react the same to fear as they do to excitement. Okay. And all my life, I've been telling everybody in my family, whenever you feel something strong, go with your heart. Don't let your mind trick you. Your mind will trick you, but your heart's always right. And I didn't know that neuroscience explains that the heart's got memory and intelligence, and that the heart actually gives your brain more information than your brain gives your heart. So when I said all these years, go with your heart, I was dead on. It all ties into science. Yep. And the amygdala protects you. So if you don't let the amygdala know you're excited, it doesn't know you're excited. It only knows the fear. It only knows the protection. It only knows what hurts you. So it'll reference it back to whatever hurts you. Okay. Yeah. So that's where people get fear. And fear is false expectations appearing real, because fear is nothing but a lie.
Yes. Yes. God did not give us the spirit of fear.
So And what's wild is that I also, because I'm also very spiritual, I tend to go look on scripture as well. And oh God, there's so much scripture on fear on the Bible. So many scriptures, on overcoming fear, about God, and truth be said, I know if you got faith, you can't have fear. You
No.
can't have
Yeah.
fear and faith. They don't lie in the same street. You
No.
either have faith or you have fear, one or the other. So I'm like, okay, my fear is telling God that I don't have faith in Him. So
Mm,
I kind of flipped that, and I also decided to switch, to change the way I was framing everything. I was framing it as, oh, I got to be perfect, to, oh my God, the amount of lives that are going to be blessed by this once I overcome this. So I'm
mm.
like, okay, I got to do me. Thank you, Jesus. I don't have much following right now. So this is the perfect time for me to work on me. And in doing that, I found out that amygdala protects you by you. But there's actually, what's funny is you can rewire your brain because you
Yeah.
have neural pathways. Okay.
Yes.
So the three-step process that, according to neuroscience, is that you identify the fear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You reframe the fear. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do messy, inaccurate action. Okay.
Yep.
And that's basically what I did. I identified the fear, got a full understanding of what it was. Then I
Yep.
went ahead and did those 500 tastes, which was rewiring my brain. Okay. It was rewiring everything before I even did it. And then when I did, I went ahead and went for it. It was messy. It was messy. As a matter of fact, my first podcast with, I actually thank you to Sonia. She's such an amazing soul. She actually came on to my podcast to help me out. And because she had asked me to be on hers. So I'm like, okay, this will be perfect. So I asked her to be on. But I was so nervous through the whole thing. And I gotta admit, I'm kind of proud of myself, because even though it was the first episode, you couldn't really tell I was as nervous as I was. Okay, after
Yeah.
watching, I'm like, you're right now. I thought I came across even more nervous.
We usually do, right? We always feel like we're coming across different than when you look back and be like, oh, I did pretty well. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so it was pretty, and yeah, I did shorten the. As a matter of fact, I ended up with like 16 minutes, and afterwards I told Sonia, I'm like, Sonia, I think I didn't. I wasn't I supposed to do like 30 or an hour? She's like, Rosie, it's okay. Don't worry, it's your first. You're fine.
Rosie, let me tell you, I am so inspired by that, right? Because you talk about not having a great following, but the reality is people need to see the messy middle. People need to see the beginning story. They need to see the journey, because that too inspires other people, right? We get so caught up on the perfectionism. And I was like you as well. Like before I started this podcast, I've been wanting to start a podcast for years. And I'm like, okay, I don't have the equipment. I don't have the right setup. I don't have the right background. You have people that record podcasts in their car. Okay. And so, like we get so caught up in our minds, but like you said, facing the fear requires us, one, address the fear. So what is it really that's holding you back?
Right.
Right. And then, wiring your brain. It's not about I have to show up perfect, because why are you wanting to do what you have to do anyway? What's the purpose behind it? And now using that to help you, okay, I have to do this, because if I don't, then this is what I'm going to lose. But if I do, this is what I'm going to gain. And so by you overcoming your fear and being in front of a camera, now you're impacting lives with your story, with your journey, with the mission of Jeremy's Unity Flight, and then being able to excuse me, to continually do it every single week. And the process of getting better, like that's the journey, because now you get to see, not only you get to see where you come from, but other people get to be inspired by your journey.
And let me tell you, Ashley, that, they say once you overcome your biggest fear comes your biggest blessing. That is no lie, my love. In doing overcoming that, I decided the following episode after the one I did with Sonia was going to be tell my life, my decade journey story. So
Mm.
I had already decided that before I even did the podcast with Sonia. So I spent like a week and a half writing out a full decade journey of everything so I could have it all professional and be all look good when I did it, because I was going to tell and that was probably going to take me an hour. And if I didn't have my ducks in a row, I was going to freak out. So I needed to get it all right. Okay. So, so I literally spent, I mean, nonstop. There were days that I barely slept because I was just writing it all out, and I condensed it so I could get in within 45 minutes to an hour. And then I went ahead and did it. And I actually was able to be on camera for 54 minutes. It was like, wow, okay, tell my story. So, but afterwards, I looked at at my PDF on my computer, and I'm like, wow, that would make an amazing book.
Mm.
Okay, I'm
Talk
like, wow.
it.
I'm like, wow, okay. And next thing I know, I was making my book, girl. I'm only on my. That means it's been 8 weeks since I started my podcast. My second podcast was 7 weeks ago, and I just finished my book a couple of days ago. My manuscript. I sent it to my sister-in-law. She's actually proofreading it as we speak.
Rosie, look at you said something to me the other day we were talking. You said if you had told me 4 months ago that I would be doing what I'm doing, that I would have a podcast, that I would have a book, that I would look at you like you're crazy. I would tell you you're crazy because what me doing a podcast, me writing a book, but look at that. Out of you facing your fear came a whole a manuscript, a book that you're getting ready to publish. That's exciting.
Darren says that God can do more in 1 hour than you can do in months. Okay. And
Yes.
it's so true. It's so true because I spent a whole decade. Okay. And
Mm.
I'm talking about a woman that was nonstop. I've got my biggest following in my social media is majorly men between 25 to 45. And the reason being is because through World Ventures, I was that freaking person that left the house at 8 o'clock in the morning, didn't come home till 3:30 in the morning because I had to make it big, because I had to impact as many people, and I had to be the one. And I would leave at 8 o'clock in the morning, not get home till 3 o'clock at night. I had 10 dimes, 3/4, and they had to all be on the other side. Three quarters meant I showed, and 10 dimes meant I share. I got a number, and these kids would see flash, 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 boom, flash, flash, flash from Rosie, 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 and they would all reach out to me. They were like, "How
Mhm.
you doing? How you doing?" So, so I spent a decade thinking that I was the one that had to make it happen, thinking that mission got put in me. It was me,
Mhm.
and along the way, God taught me to be humble, because God, OMG, before that journey, I was a controller. I was a prideful woman. I was a single mom. I had raised my kids on my own. I was the top in my field. I was like rocking it. Okay. I had my own place. I had money in the bank. I had assets. I had property. I had everything. Okay.
Mhm.
And I had it going on. I was rock solid. And all of a sudden, I made the decision, because God gave me that vision and told me I had to. I decided to leave corporate America. And overnight, I go from making almost six figures down to 1,500 a month. And it's been a very humbling experience, but along the way, oh, how many miracles there's been. That's why this
Wow.
book's so amazing. And I look at it now, and I'm like, God, you were creating the story. You were
Yes.
creating what's getting ready to happen. Oh my God. And now I've let go and let God. I'm a 64-year-old woman. I had never in my life done a freaking website. Rosie in a website.
Rosie got a
Wow.
website. I
Rosie in
love
a book.
Yes.
What? Rosie at a podcast, OMG. It's just like, I mean, and it literally has all happened. And as I swear to you, Ashley, 4 months ago when I was in that grief, I didn't even have any clue, any
Mm.
idea that any of this would come to pass.
But
And
God
all
knew.
I've been doing is staying connected. All I've been doing is listening and watching his signs. And all I've been doing, he says and I do.
Yes.
He says and
Obedience.
I do. He
Mm.
says and I do. I don't care what it is. It's going on. It's happening. Okay, no matter. And then let me tell you, there's sometimes I'm like, are you sure, God? You really want me to do that? Okay. But because
Rosie,
I think he's got a sense of
listen,
humor too, baby.
yes, he does. And we all, trust
He has a
me,
sense
if
of
you
humor
rocking
sometimes.
with God, I think we all been there. What? What? I ain't sure about that, God, but okay.
So yes,
Yeah.
so definitely, and it's just, and I just want people out there to know, man, if a 64-year-old woman can do this, so can anybody. So can anybody. Yes, it might have taken some wisdom and it might take some work, but it's possible. It's doable. Okay, and I've seen young people. I get blown away when I see young people that have gone through further in the work than I have, because I know that God's got them on this planet for something massive and grateful, like you. Okay, I don't know that in my mind. What getting ready to happen with you, Ashley, is getting me explosive, baby girl. So
I thank you for that.
I look back. I said, "OMG! If I had been where Ashley sat at her age, oh, where would I be now?" If in 4 months this has happened, oh wow, what? How many lives would have been impacted by now?
But
So
Rosie,
God bless you, baby.
listen, one thing I learned, nothing before it's time, and your story is not over. It is just beginning.
Hey,
It is
well,
just beginning.
I told the producer, get ready, because you got Rosie for over 100 years, baby. God
Rosie,
put so
who
much
knows?
into her.
Hey, you got a podcast, you got a book, maybe a movie next. Like, I'm excited for this journey. And so let me, okay, so I know we got a few more minutes, but I want to, because you shared some things, and I don't know if you want to share, if you're ready to talk about that. But you have a mission with Jeremy's Flight, and I want to touch on that because I think it's such an amazing mission. I think it's so exciting what you're doing, and it's needed. It's needed in this time that we're in. So, can you share a little of that, if you're open to sharing it?
Of course,
If not,
of course, of course,
it's
of
fine.
course, of course.
Mhm.
Through my walk, through my decade, it's the vision God gave me January 9th of 2015 was, Rosie, you're going to be my soldier, and through you, we're going to, is part of what you're going to do is we're going to unite, not just the medical world, but it's going to be Eastern and Western medicine, and it's going to be faith, and it's going to be humanity as a whole. It's time for humanity to unite. I've always been a believer that even religion, I love God, I love Jesus, but I feel like religion was created to divide and conquer. I feel that all religions are saying the same thing in different ways. I feel
Yeah.
that when you get to the core of it, it's all about love. It's all about helping each other. It's all about being there for each other. It's all about being the relationship with God. Okay. And being right with God. So to me, ultimately, that's what it's all about, no matter what religion you're in. So I feel that it's time for us to come together. And after that dream, because he didn't explain to me how it was going to happen. He just told me it was going to happen. Yeah, I argued with him for about for at least 4 days. Okay, before I finally said, okay, I promise I'll be good. I want to do it. So, but I've seen it. I've seen it. I'm tired of hearing the holistic world saying, chemo, you don't want to do that. Western medicine is no good for you, though. You don't want to do that. And I'm tired of seeing Western medicine saying, no, you can't bring that in here because we don't authorize it. So it's time for these two worlds to come together. I've seen how miracles happen when they both unite. I seen it in my stepmom. I seen it in my son. I seen it in my father. I seen it in myself. I literally broke my femur at one point in my journey, and I was actually on a 40-day fast with God, where I actually was doing it through the nutritional system product. My fast was consisted of 3 shakes a day and all the supplements and water. That's all I had for 40 days. And I was on the 10th day of my 40-day journey when I broke my femur. And at the hospital, they tell me, oh, no, you can't have those products here. And I turned around, I told the nurse, I said, honey, I said, give me the director, give me the president, give me whoever you have to get, because that's my only nutrition. If I can't have that, we got a problem.
Yeah.
I said, please give me whoever you got. This is something I have to do, and we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
So she went and got the director. The director came out. She looked at the products. She talked to me. She verified everything on the products was holistic, was fine. She turned around, she said, that's good. You can have it here. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah.
I continue with it. The process of my healing was so miraculous that when I went to therapy, okay, I was supposed to be there 2 weeks. I was there 4 days, and they kicked me out because I had progressive wealth. Okay. They literally kicked me out of therapy. They told me, we can't do no more for you. 4 days after I was there. Okay.
Wow.
That was because of the products I was taking. That was because of what I was doing. Okay. My father, because of what had happened with Lena, unfortunately, my dad ended up with COVID pneumonia. And at the time, he got diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. And because of the myelodysplastic syndrome, which is a bone marrow disease that causes the platelets not to like you overbleed. It doesn't stop the bleeding.
Yeah.
So because of it, they had to give him blood transfusions regularly,
Yeah.
and it was wild because he asked me, he said, Rosie, he says, go get my products. He says, bring them to me. Because he saw what had happened with Lita. He's like, go give me my products. So I went home and I got them. And again, I went through the whole mission of convincing the doctor and showing the doctor why my father could do it. And I ultimately, what I told the doctor, I said, Doc, I said, isn't it true that if a person feels something, he helps them, it's going to help him whether it does or not? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you
Yeah.
saw the products. You know they got nothing harmful in them. You told me
Yeah.
the grease he can't have. Okay, we leave him out. So him just thinking that they do something for him, that in alone should make you say yes. And he turned around
Yeah.
and he said, okay, go ahead and do it. And we did. Every time my father was taking the products, his numbers on the charts would improve. He would
Mm.
feel better. He would look better. His ammonia seemed even in the scans to reduce. Okay,
Wow.
but then a new doctor would come in and say, "Oh, no, we can't have that in here. Oh, no, I'm kind of fearful of that. We can't have that." Okay, so we'd have to stop, and every time it stopped, he'd regress, he'd get worse, all the numbers would go back. Then I'd get another
Mm.
doctor that after talking to him, he'd yeah, let's do it. I again introduce it, and all of a sudden his numbers would get better again. And that was, but that showed to me that these two need to come together.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to stop fighting. Unity blesses, fighting divides.
Yeah.
Okay, if we unite in everything, and even in healing, we'll be a million times better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And
so
and just
so
to touch, go ahead. Because
and
I
I
want
know
to hold on, Rosie. Let me just say this right quick, because the products that Rosie is talking about, y'all, these are 100% plant-based products. They don't have any harmful chemicals. They don't have any additives, no preservatives. Like the products are 100% natural products. And so when she's talking about, the products, I want y'all to understand that this is all natural products that she's taking on this journey. So I just had to add that so people could understand where we are coming from with this. Go ahead, Rosie.
right. They're food based. They're yes, all food based. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's all
Mhm.
holistic. I mean, it's just now what I was getting at is that, you know the reason why next year I'm starting the Jeremy Lastra Foundation, that's going to be a nonprofit.
Mhm.
I'm sick and tired of seeing people die unnecessarily because they don't have the money to pay for holistic treatments that I know would save their lives, that I know could help them. I think I mentioned it to you. Chemo, I feel there's a time and place for everything. I'm not one that backs chemo, but I'm realistic. I know with chemo you got 50% chance of making it. So does it heal some people? Yeah. Okay. So if you're willing to put it out there and you're willing to 50% of the people it now work on, and you're okay with that, why can't you be okay with holistic things that have been proven that do work? They may not be
Mhm.
100% all the time because not everybody believes, but it's
Yeah.
proven they've worked. Okay, so and because that is not in healthcare, because we're not allowed to include in our insurance the holistic treatments. Some of these holistic treatments, like there's some energy treatments that run $1,000 a month for you to be able. I had one I was going to do with my son. Unfortunately, it was the week that he passed that it was going to cost me $1,000 a month. People ain't got
Mhm.
that kind of money.
No.
Okay. But there's been results. They've proven it heals. Why can't it be included? So the Jeremy Lester Foundation is going to be for multiple things. It's going to be to help, because also that was another thing. Because of the amazing family we have, right before Jeremy's passing, they were going through financial difficulties because of the commute back and forth. And we all came together in such a beautiful way. We created a fundraiser yard sale, and we had amazing results. I mean, we were able to cover my son's bills for 3 months, almost
Wow.
3 months, because of that yard sale. We were going to do it again and again and again. So I now know how to teach people how to do this. There's not much to it, and it's pretty off the chain amazing, and it really so through the Jeremy Lasher Foundation, not only is it going to create avenues to create funds because it's a nonprofit, so I'm going to create events, and there's going to be fundraising involved, and I'm going to teach families how to create their own fundraising, and I'm going to be able to give grants for people that can't afford but want to do holistic treatments. And in the future, my goal with that is to, number one, send lobbyists to Congress and I have them end up putting holistic things that have been proven into our insurance where it's allowed with our insurance, and in research, so
Yeah.
that we could ultimately get the truth about how the holistic world and Western medicine could come together and really, really honestly maximize people's
Yeah.
healings and
Yeah.
maximize miracles.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I had to bring that up because I think that's such an amazing thing that, and we need it. We need people to have access to these things. And so Rosie, I just want to thank you, man. You are awesome. I can sit here and talk to you for hours. You're such a gem, and I thank you for just pouring your heart out. I'm sure everyone that's watching, we had a young lady that commented on Instagram, and she said that she's been trying to improve some things in her life. And so when you touched on overcoming the fears, because she said that her life has always felt like something was missing and she kind of gets stuck in that stage without taking action. And so you just taught her how to face her fears, right? And now she has a deeper understanding that is not just being stuck, but it's how the body reacts, the memory that it holds, and how to break free from that. And so, man, this was such an impactful and powerful episode. And so I definitely have to have you back on. But before we close out, I want you to share a little about how people can reach you, how they can get more of what you have access to. And I'm just going to pull this thing up as you speak. So go right ahead.
Okay. Yes, I do have the Jeremy Lastra, I'm sorry, jeremy'sunityflight.com. That's my website. I am also, you can also find me because of my podcast. I do my podcast through at Rosie Lastra on Instagram. I also have the Jeremy's Unity Flight on Instagram. I got Jeremy's Unity Flight on Facebook. I also have Maria Rosalia Lastra or Rosie on Facebook as well. You could also find me on LinkedIn and under my name and under Jeremy's Unity Flight, and also on TikTok under Jeremy's Unity Flight. So, oh, and YouTube also, both Jeremy's Unity Flight and Rosie Lastra. So,
yeah. So I have those in the description, y'all. Y'all can check Rosie out. But I also want to touch on this as well, as we have this up. So you can reach Rosie and you can directly have access to the tools that she offers if you sign up for her email. So go ahead and scan this QR code. And with this QR code, you're going to receive audio, a common audio, a printable journal so that you can reflect, as well as first access to Unity Flight Master Journey Launch. And so Rosie has some amazing things in the works. And so Rosie, I think we have some comments. This was phenomenal, incredible. A new book. Wow, your story is so impactful, Rosie. God bless you. These are the comments that are coming in. So Rosie, you definitely touched some lives tonight. But I like to close out on a little lighter note. So Rosie, we're gonna do this or that. Okay, so you pick which one you would much rather do. Okay, so Rosie, I know that you were part of World Ventures. So if you had to choose, okay, would you do a romantic night in Paris or an adventure thrilling trip in Mexico or somewhere tropical?
I'm actually about adventure, so I do that adventure trip.
I figured that much. I love it.
I'm a junkie. Adventure all the way.
Horseback riding, or would you do NASCAR racing?
Horseback riding.
Horseback riding. Okay. All right. Would you climb the Great Wall of China, or would you go skiing?
I think I'd go skiing.
Nice. I love it.
Even though I've never skied in my life.
I love it. Y'all, thank you so much. Y'all show Rosie some love in the comments. Definitely share this episode with a friend if you got value. Rosie, stay on. Don't leave us. But I want to just thank Rosie for what she's done tonight, what she shared with us tonight. And so Rosie, just share any final words that you may have with the people as we close out.
Yes, know that God's got you. Yes, know that, he's abundant beyond measures. And yes, know that everything is possible with him and through him. I mean, that's, in a nutshell, that's my life, that's my story, and it's proof of that, baby.
Wow, thank you so much for your time tonight, Rosie. Y'all, that was it. That is all. That was a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose with Rosie Lastra. Thank you guys for joining us. See y'all next week, Thursday at 8 p.m. Y'all, we have a guest speaker every night up until November. Okay, every week, up until November. So definitely tune in, join us. We have some amazing conversations coming forth. So I hope to see you in the room. Invite a friend. Love y'all. See y'all until next time. This is a major insight into faith, healing, and purpose with Ashley Major.